This time we explore the deeply unsettling case of Kristen Smart, a college freshman who went missing after a party, triggering one of the longest and most frustrating investigations in California history. It was Memorial Day weekend. The school year was nearly over. A college freshman walked to a party just off campus, surrounded by friends, music, and summer anticipation. She never made it back to her dorm, and for more than 2 decades, her family waited for answers that felt like they'd never come. Kristen was 19 years old. She was a student at California Polytechnic State University, or Cal Poly, in San Luis Obispo. She was bright, athletic, and adventurous. She stood over 6 feet tall and dreamed of travelling the world. On the night of May 24, 1996, Kristen went to an off-campus party. It was just a few blocks from her dorm. She wore black shorts, a grey crop top, and red Puma shoes. She didn't bring a wallet, a purse, or keys. Sometime after 2 a.m., she was seen walking back toward the dorm with 3 other students. One of them was Paul Flores, a fellow student known for being awkward and quiet. As the group broke apart, Paul offered to walk Kristen the rest of the way. He told police that she was intoxicated and that he helped her get back near her residence hall. He claimed that was the last time he saw her. But Kristen never arrived at her dorm. She never contacted friends, never called home, never went to her classes. She was gone. And immediately things went wrong. The university police didn't take the case seriously at first. They assumed she had gone on a spontaneous trip or was sleeping off a party weekend. No missing person report was filed until 3 days later. By then, precious time was lost. When the investigation finally began, attention turned quickly to Paul Flores. He was the last person seen with Kristen. He had a black eye shortly after the party, which he gave inconsistent explanations for. He was evasive during interviews, he lawyered up early, and then he went silent. Still, without a body or physical evidence, police couldn't make an arrest. Kristen's family was devastated. They knew she hadn't just vanished. They pushed for national attention. In 2002, she was officially declared dead, even though her body had never been found. The case went cold. Over the years, new leads emerged, but none led to Kristen. Cadaver dogs hit on Flores' dorm room. A student remembered seeing him acting strangely the day after the party. Multiple women came forward describing Paul's pattern of stalking and harassment, dating back to high school. But nothing was enough. Then in 2019, things changed. A podcast called Your Own Backyard, created by journalist Chris Lambert, reignited public interest. It uncovered new witnesses, challenged the timeline, and exposed disturbing details about Paul Flores and his family. The podcast gained a massive following and put pressure on local law enforcement to act. They did. In 2020 and 2021, authorities executed multiple search warrants. They dug up the backyard of Paul's father, Ruben Flores, in nearby Arroyo Grande. There, they found evidence that a body had been buried and then moved. In April 2021, nearly 25 years after Kristen vanished, Paul Flores was arrested and charged with her murder. His father was charged as an accessory, accused of helping conceal Kristen's body. The trial began in 2022. Prosecutors laid out a damning case. Paul Flores had attempted to sexually assault Kristen Smart the night of the party. In the process, he killed her. He transported her body with the help of his father and hid her remains. They brought forward women who said Paul had raped or attempted to rape them in the years since. They testified that his behaviour had been predatory and aggressive, that what happened to Kristen fit a disturbing pattern. Paul's defence team claimed there was no physical evidence tying him to the crime. that without a body the case was built on speculation, that the witnesses were unreliable, but the jury didn't agree. On October 18, 2022, Paul Flores was found guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. Ruben Flores, his father, was acquitted. Kristen's family stood outside the courthouse, tears in their eyes, finally able to speak the word they had waited decades to say: justice. Still, her body has never been recovered. Her parents continue to ask Paul and his family to reveal where she is, because even though the case is closed, the pain remains open. Kristen Smart was a daughter, a sister, a friend. She was someone with dreams and plans and decades of life ahead of her, and all of it was stolen. The story of her disappearance became a story about how justice can be delayed but not denied, about how persistence matters and how ordinary people, like a small-town podcaster, can move mountains when institutions fall silent. Kristen's name is now etched in the national conversation. Her legacy lives on through scholarships, memorials, and advocacy for missing persons. Because for every Kristen, there are thousands more still waiting to be found, still waiting to be heard. And her story reminds us that the truth can be buried, but it doesn't stay buried forever. If you know something about any missing person, speak up. It could change everything.